let's get into this conversation. So, first off, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I'm very excited. This has been an interview, a talk, a chat that a lot of people have been asking for. So first off, thank you very much for agreeing to do this.
Of course. No, I'm so excited. And I think, I don't know, I'm like toying around with the idea of starting a podcast or like coming up with some other thing. So like, I think I would love to have you as a guest in the future at some point.
Of course, I am always down. I love talking, as everyone knows. So I'm always down to do that. So, okay, I kind of want to go back, and what I wanted to do today was kind of have you share your story from, being Lena, right? That's how it's pronounced?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm really bad with names. So going from that to, Frumpy Fit, which is what you go by on all social media. So I just kind of want to hear the story of how did you get into fitness? What made you even want to start a channel or get into fitness in the first place? Like, I would just love to know the genesis to kind of where you are now. And then I'm sure I'll interrupt you and if I have a question or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you definitely will need to interrupt me because I will just keep talking and talking
Perfect.
and talking if you don't. So I'm okay with that. So, I mean, this goes all the way back to high school. I was like very thin, like almost like if we're talking about BMI, like almost in the underweight category. And like people had teased me and called me anorexic. And like I had just started to not like things like about my body. And, I didn't really know what I wanted. I was like on the dance team all through high school. I was like captain of the dance team, like nothing spectacular. I went to a very small high school in Hawaii. I was born and raised in Hawaii, for those that don't know that. I live in Arizona now. And
the complete opposite of each other. That's so funny.
Yeah, well, it'll make sense once we get into like the storyline.
Okay.
The storyline of my life. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I loved writing. I loved dancing, but I was like, there's no way that I could be a professional dancer. Like, that's not ever going to happen. And like, you don't really hear good things about becoming like a professional writer. And so I was I was sitting at home, like just kind of scrolling through the TV channels, like at the time when like only cable existed. And I was a junior in high school, and I was like, you're starting to get pressure of like, what are you going to do when you go to college? And I always knew that I was going to go to college. Like I love learning. I love academics. Like I graduated as a valedictorian in high school, graduated from college, like summa cum laude. So I love learning. And so I was like, I need to figure this out. And so I'm scrolling through channels and The Biggest Loser comes on, which is like, this is kind of full circle because those are the first videos of yours that I really, really got into, was like your stuff about Biggest Loser. And so what I saw from somebody who didn't know anything about this stuff was the contestants, people just like in so much emotional and mental like pain and torment because of their physical body, that they agreed to go on this television show in front of like millions of people and like go through this experience. And of course, to me, who didn't know anything, I saw the trainers as like solving that for them and fixing things for them and like helping them. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. I want to be a trainer. So I grabbed my laptop and I typed in like degree to be fitness trainer. And like, that's how it all started. I literally never even considered doing anything else ever since then. Yeah. And so
that's, it's really interesting hearing someone come from like the opposite side of the spectrum. So like I have a lot of people that have like, I mean, I've talked so much about weight loss and stuff, but it's really interesting. Like when people are like underweight, I don't want to say that you're underweight, but when you're skinnier or whatever, it's a lot more, it seems like it's a lot more okay for people to be like, oh, you're this, you're that, you're skinny, you're anorexic, like you need to eat more. It's like, it's never really been that big of a deal. But if you do the same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum, which both of them aren't okay, I'm not saying any of them are okay, but like if you do on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's like been known like that's not cool. People still do it because people are jerks, but it's like when you're skinny, it's almost like, I think I've had this like theory of, I think because more people in America at least struggle with being overweight, so it's just so hard to relate to someone that is trying to gain weight or get bigger, that they're like, that's not really a problem, right? And so it's like okay to be like, oh, you're so skinny, you need to just eat more. When in reality, like I've talked about this before, like putting on like good weight, that's not just like you're just eating McDonald's or whatever, is much more difficult. And this might be problematic. I don't think it is, but it's much more difficult than just losing weight, because losing weight, especially if you're just looking at time too, like to lose 100 pounds, it's very normal for someone to lose that in a year and a half, right? Especially if they're losing a lot of weight. But like to put on actual size naturally takes literal years. Like even like 10 pounds of muscle, you know what I mean? That takes a long time to do. And I think a lot of people just don't understand how difficult that really can be for people. And they're just like, oh man, I'm trying to lose weight, whatever, they're fine. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating to me hearing that.
Yeah. And like, I've done a couple bodybuilding competitions, and like, I, of course, I'm not sitting at that level of weight at this point, but like the weight that I don't like sharing my exact numbers because it can be
that's fine.
some people.
No, yeah.
But like I currently right now I'm sitting almost 30 pounds up from how much I weighed in high school, just to give like an idea of like really how skinny I was. And yeah, it was so frustrating because I didn't know what I was doing. And they don't really, like in health class, they don't really teach you any of this stuff. And so like, I was like, okay, I want to gain weight. So I'm going to eat almonds. Like, I'm just going to eat almonds constantly because someone was like, oh, almonds will help you gain the good kind of weight. And I was like, okay. So I'm like eating all these almonds. And then I'm sitting in photography class and eating my almonds. And someone is like, oh, why are you eating those almonds? I was like, oh, somebody told me it would help me gain weight. And they're like, no, almonds are a negative calorie food. They're going to help you lose weight. And I just like gave up after that. I was like, what?
Almonds are the opposite of that. That's so funny. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was like, how could I get advice on the same exact thing that are polar opposites? Like, it just like frustrated me so much. And I just like was like, okay, I'm just going to be like this forever. Like, I'm never going to get to like a body that I'm happy with. And so when I saw the Biggest Loser contestants and the way they felt like trapped and just like stuck, like, I don't even know how to really explain it. Like, I related to that, even though my problem was the polar opposite of theirs. So I was like, I just felt like I was a victim to like my physical body, that it was going to do whatever it wanted no matter what. And I had no say in it. The whole Biggest Loser thing. Like, I have made a video about how problematic I think it is and how it's just like, all the cons really. But I have this like really interesting past with the Biggest Loser because it's the reason I am where I am today. Yeah. Because I mean, who knows if I would have decided on fitness outside of that, but like that was the moment. So I also had this goal to like get abs before I graduated high school, which definitely didn't happen. So it was like, I just came from a very like, where I think most people are with like fitness and weight loss and nutrition and everything like that. I've been there. And so when I graduated from high school, I got a scholarship to go to a university on the island that I lived on. So university was small. It was like 4,000 students total. But I got a full scholarship. And their scholarship was headquartered in Phoenix in Arizona. So that's how the Hawaii-Arizona connection happened. So I started like getting into school, and the kinesiology and exercise science department at our university was so small in terms of faculty, and there were so many students wanting to learn that it was like you could not get into a class unless you were a sophomore or up. So as a freshman, I started going on YouTube and like doing all my own research, and I found these people who were like sort of problematic at this point, like, but that was how I started my journey, was on YouTube. And I discovered bodybuilding, and I saw all these women who were super empowered and felt strong and like badass. And I was like, wow, I want that. I want to feel like that. It wasn't like I want to look like them. It was like, wow, I want to experience that for myself. And so I decided that I wanted to do a bodybuilding competition. Fast forward to junior year, I hired my nutrition professor, who was also a bodybuilder. She was my coach. And I have issues with the way that she coached me, and like she sells ketones now. So I'm just like, I was like, this is my nutrition professor. I could trust her. And now looking back, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with a lot of this stuff, I mean, I'm not trying to get into like drama. I don't want to pull you into drama, but like, this is what, like, I recently did a video about this other YouTuber. Her name's Alivia, and she did a video kind of sharing her glow up diaries is what she calls it. But she ended up hiring this guy who is just a random, like fitness trainer. The information this guy put out is just, it was so bad. And it was frustrating to me because, like, it was like information that you would have heard 20 years ago. And it's like everyone knows that this stuff is BS now. And I just felt bad for her because I truly don't think that she was trying to demonize anything or like be a mean person or be a bad person. I think she believed what this guy was saying because he is a trainer. And she was like, well, I want to share this information with all of my followers, which very sadly is young women. Is you know, her following is like, you know, people that are like 13 to I think like 19 is probably her like base audience. And like reading some of the comments, so I made a video about it, and like it's been crazy seeing like reading the comments on that video of people being like, I bought the book, I believed everything that they said, and I remember thinking really bad about myself, and I was like all this stuff, and they're like, I'm so thankful that you made this video. And like I don't really do like, obviously that's important to me. I'm not trying to be like some savior with my videos, you know. I make them because I want to share my opinion, but like this video, the comments on it are like nothing I've ever seen. The amount of people that are saying like, I'm so thankful for it. And so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it into that, but it's just like, this has been something that's been on my mind the past few days. And it's frustrating, like, because it's still going on. You know what I mean? Like that happened to you years ago and it's still happening. And this is on a large, like 1 million people have seen that video already, you know?
Yeah.
So
1.2.
it's just, yeah. It's so, okay. So you know what I'm talking. Okay. So I wasn't sure if you were.
I've never gotten so many reaction requests.
Okay.
It's like that video. So I am potentially going to make a reaction to it. And I watched most of yours and commented some of my comments on your video. But I agree with you. Like, I think that she did more than most influencers would do, where she sought out the help of a professional rather than just sharing her anecdotal advice. And so it's such a bummer that the person that she trusted with her whole audience and with herself was somebody who was giving advice like that. Like, I was super bummed. So I definitely, like, how in her position, how could she doesn't have the tools to know that he's like sharing information that is not accurate at all. So I feel bad that she's in that situation. And I put all of the blame on that trainer that she featured in that video. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was something that I tried. I probably could have made it more clear. I tried to make it as clear as I could in my video. Like, I'm not mad at, like, I was getting frustrated because I was doing it live and I was just like, dude, you know? I tried to make it clear. I'm not mad at her. Like, she was tricked for the most part. Like, I believe she was tricked and it's not her fault. It was just frustrating how many people had seen the video. And I was like, oh, you know, it just sucks. But
my first coach, the one who sells ketones now, she had me for 7 months during my prep on a low glycemic diet, like super clean, low glycemic. So like, I've been there, I've done that. I thought that by not raising my insulin, it would be easier to lose weight and like maintain my muscle or like whatever it is people are claiming about that. So like, and then my second bodybuilding competition, I followed like macros and ate pasta and ice cream almost every day. And like, I've had experience with both. So yeah,
No. So that's a perfect segue. So going from there, so you did that first prep. You were working with your nutrition coach, and then let's continue the story because I totally derailed the conversation there.
No, I mean, I'm basically going to say, you know, if I do that reaction to that same video, I'm basically going to say all that. So everyone who's watching here, spoiler alert, that's my opinion on that video. So I did that bodybuilding competition. And right after that, I got a personal training certification through NCSF because they had a partner like with my college that I would get college credit for it and like go through the curriculum with a professor, that same nutrition professor, and then take the exam and all of that. So I did that for personal training. I got certified, and then also sports nutrition. So I got those certifications, and then I graduated from college. And, you know, my advisor was like, what do you want to do after you graduate? And I was like, I want to coach people. Like, I want to be a personal trainer. And he's like, I think you're wasting like what you could do with your life by choosing that path. He's like, you should go off to like physical therapy school, or you should like, you know, da-da-da-da. And so that was kind of annoying. And so in Hawaii, like I lived on the Big Island, which is like the big one, the first one kind of in the chain. It's called the island of Hawaii. So a lot of times people will get confused about that, but no chain gyms in existence. We had literally 2 different options for gyms, like in my hometown. And I didn't want to work at either of them. And they didn't really have like personal training. So I was like, okay. And I didn't want to stay on that island anymore. I was like, I need to kind of like branch out. So I decided to move from that island to the island of Oahu. So I got a job as a personal trainer at a chain gym on Oahu, 24-hour fitness. And it was the worst experience ever. Like, horrible. I will never work at a chain gym ever again. I mean,
when working, I remember when I like lost my weight, I went to a 24-hour fitness, and like, I'm not trying to this happens at a lot of chain gyms. So it could be any gym, insert any big gym.
Yeah.
But I remember I lost the weight, and the trainers had seen me there losing the weight. And I remember it felt like they were always watching me, and they were always like trying to come up to me and be like, "Hey man, do you need some help?" And like, I could tell that they just wanted to like bring me, start training me or whatever, and then use me as a way to sell their program. I just remember feeling very like, I felt like I was like being watched by like sharks or something like that. Like, and like I ended up actually working with a trainer. Like, they had a free thing, and I was like, cool, if you're gonna do it for free. He tried to like, charge me, but like, I remember like having because we became kind of friends, having conversations, and like, I felt bad because it's like basically you turn into a salesman. Like, you just have to be a salesman. And I was just like, well, yeah, I would never want to do that, ever be in that position.
Yeah, so on the trainer perspective, the whole entire training that you get when you get hired is about sales. None of it, absolutely none of it, is about how to train a client. Yeah. And I can tell you for sure, I think all of the personal training certifications on the market do not, like, you don't know what you're doing when you work with a client for the first time. And so I did not feel supported whatsoever. I really loved the fitness manager at that club. I was like super excited to learn from him. He was super knowledgeable, also a bodybuilder. And then he got transferred to a different location a week after I got hired. Ugh. And so now I didn't have anybody to help me figure out what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And so then I had to go to the general manager for everything, who is not a personal trainer or has no background in that at all. And then he started spreading this rumor to all the other trainers that I was like romantically interested in him because I was spending so much time in his office. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, somebody please help me. And yeah, the whole thing is sales, all of it. And so I didn't feel like within their structure that I could really help my clients the way that I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I did get some really great clients, and I did have a good time with them, but also the payment structure made no sense whatsoever. Like, if you're not making enough sales, and like the longer you spend on the clock without like getting a certain amount of commission or something like that, they literally subtract money from your pay if you're working on the clock without training clients. Like, how do you expect me to get the clients? Like, you're literally penalizing me. It just like made no sense. I hated it, all of it. And so right before I moved actually to Oahu, the scholarship that I had at my university, they reached out and they're like, hey, we would love it if you would come and work for us. Like, for the scholarship foundation, like in Phoenix. So I moved to Oahu knowing that that was likely what I was going to do. So I knew that that was kind of a temporary situation, because they were like, we'll pay for your move to Phoenix, like everything, like you'll be taken care of. And I was like, cool, this is my chance to like, get out of Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And nothing against Hawaii, it's amazing. It just didn't really fit like what I saw for my future. Yeah. And so I started working for them, and it was salary. So they could have me work as many hours as they wanted. And it was really fulfilling. I loved everything that I did at that job, but like, it really took a huge toll on me mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, it was not a good place for me. So I was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm not gonna like hurt myself in every single way just for this great paycheck. And I wasn't really doing what I loved anyway. So I decided to leave, and I just like started Frumpy Fit. And I was like, this is either going to work or it's not. And like, worst case scenario, I'm going to be back at square one, but like, I have to try. And so I literally have spent I left that job in September of 2018. And I've been trying to build Frumpy Fit ever since then. And literally in April of this year, I had like 800 followers on Instagram and 200 subscribers on YouTube, and like no TikTok account. And then like literally TikTok, I had like a couple really dumb videos like blow up like crazy. That was kind of the kickstart. And then like YouTube picked up some of my videos in the algorithm, and it just took off from there. And I've just been like in a tornado ever since then.
So what was the reasoning behind the name Frumpy Fit?
Yeah, I don't even remember exactly how I figured it out. I just knew I really loved the word frumpy and like identified with it. And what I noticed and what I didn't like about the fitness industry is that it's so glamorized. It's like if you are going to be successful as like a fitness Instagrammer, like you need to be decked out in like Gymshark. You
So
need to like have all of
serious.
these supplements. It's like
Yeah.
it's this whole like thing that I just didn't feel like aligned with me. And I was like, so when I came up with the name, everyone's like, oh, like you help people go from frumpy to fit. I'm like, no, you're both at the same time. Like you
Hmm.
can participate in the fitness industry in whatever way it feels most comfortable for you. And I want to create space for that.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like, I'm literally wearing like men's shorts in the gym and like also going to Goodwill for like baggy t-shirts and like it's just literally and it's not that everybody we don't need to shun or shame people who
Yeah.
participate in that glamorized part of the fitness industry. It's just like I want people to step back and say like what makes sense for me? How do I fit into this? Rather than trying to conform to like what they see everybody else doing. So that's like the whole thing behind the name.
Yeah, I know. I really like it. Like I think that that's one thing in the fitness industry or whatever you want to call it is like so many people take themselves so serious, man. And I've never been that way. Like I'm just not a serious person. I like to have fun. I like to be stupid. I like to say dumb stuff. And so I mean I love that. I think that that's definitely something that is needed, even not even just for you to do, but for people to see. I think that that's really 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 good. So for you, I could be wrong, but was one of the first videos of yours? Because I remember I think the first video of yours that I saw in a recommended was you reacting to TikToks. Is that one of your first like I don't want to say viral, but one of the first videos that like kind of got picked up?
Yeah, so I think it was the like yellow one where like on
Hmm.
screen it's like I'm the all egg diet. And so I reacted to that because I mean, I saw like all the like videos that I started enjoying watching were experts reacting to information on YouTube or wherever and explaining like this is bad or this is good or like this is whatever. And so I was like, hey, I want to do that. So I just like found the worst TikToks I could possibly find and reacted to them. So yeah, that one got picked up first. Probably also because like I was building my TikTok and so people were on TikTok and they recognized my name. So it was like, it just kind of like worked well together. And then like way after the fact, like my calories video got picked up and that's my most viewed one.
Hmm.
Like how to calculate your calories for weight loss. It has like 680,000 views, I think, which is like crazy. It's my
Hmm.
most viewed video like every single day, every week, every month.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of how I got my start. And I think like a lot of people are like, oh, you're so negative. Like, why do you always just like say what's wrong with everybody? And it's like, that's never, ever, ever my intention. Like when I watch reactions, I'm watching to learn like in an
Hmm.
entertaining way. And so that's like the main focus that I try to do. And so I'm working really hard because it's tough to communicate exactly what you mean in a short video because people have
Hmm.
short attention spans. And so it's like trying to do this balancing act of like teaching enough and making it entertaining enough and like not saying too much, but like saying enough. And it's just like, yeah, I'm learning a lot and I'm constantly trying to like improve and get better.
I think it's a good balancing act to have, like because a lot of people I've seen end up really going a little bit too hard in the reaction and like being like mean and being over the top to where I don't think that it's something that lasts very long, and I personally don't really enjoy watching that. I think there's like times where you can be funny and you can like react to things and maybe not agree with it, but you don't have to be like a huge jerk about it. But I think there's a lot of people that just conflate disagreeing with being mean. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can disagree without being mean. I think it's completely possible.
Exactly. Yeah, I got a lot of feedback like that on TikTok of like, you're so horrible. Like, I can't stand you. You just like
Kids.
criticize everybody all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have taken a break from TikTok because it just got really too toxic for me.
Hmm.
And yeah, I like people get angry at anything that's not positivity, even if it's toxic positivity. Like,
Oh yeah.
no, I'm not going to like watch a video of blatant misinformation that ultimately is going to harm people and be positive about it. Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna like I'm pretty blunt and like I'm gonna like tell it like it is, but it's not like I'm not doing it to be mean. Like or just like people are like, oh, you're just like name dropping like for views, and you're just like, you know, it's very
I hate
negative.
when people say that. I'm like, yo, it's YouTube, bro. I'm gonna play the game. Like, of course I'm gonna play the game. Why would I intentionally make my videos not like have people not watch them? I don't get that. That one to me, I'm like, yo, it's part of the game. I never get mad at anyone for, you know, as long as you're not like completely lying and like literally clickbaiting
Yeah.
to where it's not anything to do with the video, then that's obviously not cool. But if it's like, if you're being
Yeah.
sensational in the thumbnail and the title, it's like, that's YouTube, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, somebody actually asked in like one of my comment sections on my opinion on you and your content. And they were like, I can't tell if like, I could tell they hadn't actually watched very many of your videos because they were like basing their opinion on you off of your thumbnails and your title. And I was like, no, I think he just does that like for, you know, for the algorithm or whatever. Yeah. And actually somebody just made a video about me like yesterday. Like, and the thumbnail is like, why would you say this? Like in all caps. And it's like, you know, but the video is like totally nice and complimentary and like agreeing with everything I'm saying. But she's like, anger drama, like for the algorithm. And I'm like, I get it.
It's all part of the game. 100%. Okay. So the one other thing that I wanted to talk about was kind of just like, I mean, we kind of already talked about it, which is not surprising, but like kind of like, I don't know, if you could just give your opinion on like one or a couple like weight loss like myths that you have seen that are like really frustrating to you still.
This whole I think spot reduction is getting a big like revival because of TikTok. Just drives me absolutely crazy. It's interesting because TikTok is like you said, like people are still giving advice that like we figured it out like 10, 20, 30 years ago that this is not true. And like people are still perpetuating it. And so it's like TikTok is reviving all of these things. And what's interesting, actually, I was giving advice, talking about something. And someone in the comments was like, you know, questioning what I was saying. And I was like, I have a degree in exercise science. Like I have a background in this. I know what I'm talking about. And they're like, prove it. Prove you have a degree. And so I put like, literally it's right here on my bookshelf. Like I just pulled it out and I was like, here you go. Like, here's my degree. And they were like, okay, thanks. Like just wanted to make sure. It's so easy for people to like make up credentials. And I was like, that's cool. I'm glad you're questioning it. And I'm glad you're like, you know, actually wanting to find out if the person you're getting advice from is credible. My problem is that you do not ever question that random teenager on your For You page who's giving advice, who's obviously doesn't have the credentials. It's like only the people who are qualified are getting criticized. It's very strange.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird, like I'm in a weird position because I don't have any like official credentials, right? I'm just someone that's lost weight, but it's really hard because a lot of my contemporaries or whatever you want to call it, people that have lost weight that have gained a following because of that, I've noticed a lot of them have lost weight in a really, maybe not the healthiest way. And a lot of them end up giving advice when I'm like, dude, this is like, it's very clear that you lost weight through a way that like you don't really understand it. And so it's like the reason that I have such a problem with that is because like you're saying, because people are watching and they're like, oh, I can relate to this because they've lost weight. So I should listen to what they're saying because people will listen to someone that has gone through the similar experience before they'll listen to someone that maybe hasn't, but they have the credentials, which it is what it is. Like, I'm not saying that's either good or bad, but that's why I really don't like seeing that because I'm like, man, people will listen to you just based on the fact that you lost weight. And so that's why it's so important to either just say, hey, I don't really know. Because like, people ask me questions all the time and I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. Or they'll talk about like some ED stuff. And I'm like, hey, I'm not qualified to answer that question, you know? Or like in my Discord, people ask about like exercise stuff. And I'm like, hey, I don't know. Like if your knee hurts, I'm not the person to talk to, okay? But I think like with weight loss, people feel because they've been through it, they can give advice when maybe they don't really know what is going on or why things are working. I don't know. I went on a tangent there, but like that's one thing that to me is really dangerous. And like I get kind of like triggered by, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I'm all about like my videos are, I mean, I do sometimes say like, this is like what you should do, but a lot of my content is like, this is how you should figure out what to do. And I think that my goal, a huge goal of mine, is to like create informed consumers of content, of products. And so what a lot of people don't understand who are consuming content, consuming products, they don't understand that like each person that they're listening to is going to have a scope of practice. And so I get questions constantly about PCOS and weight loss. I'm like, yeah, weight loss is in the title and I'm a weight loss coach, but I know I'm not a medical professional. I know very little about PCOS. And so it's like, it's just, you can tell by the questions that you get, like that people don't understand who they should even go to.
Yeah.
And so like, I also don't ever want to say like, oh, just because somebody doesn't have credentials doesn't mean like it means they don't know what they're talking about. Like I was thinking about making some content of like how to figure out who you should get advice from, because it's so hard for people to figure that out. But it's like, then you have someone like me who has a degree in exercise science, whatever. Then you have my nutrition professor who is putting people on low glycemic diets and selling ketones. And then you have you who doesn't have credentials, but does give out good advice and is aware of their like limitations and of what they can and can't give advice on. And it's like, how? Like, I can't give you a list of saying like, if this person checks off these things, then you should listen to them. It's like, it's really like, I know a lot of people without credentials who really do know what they're talking about. So it's so tough. And this industry is so unregulated. Like, don't even get me started on, it's wild. It's just a poop show. I don't know if I can swear.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I think like, yeah, that's one of the biggest problems, like for sure, is that people, they just don't know who to go to. And it's not their fault because like that guy, the Steve dude or whatever, he's a personal trainer that was like literally giving out like literal like nutrition plans to people. And it's like, dude, that is not your scope of practice. Like, that's not what you should be doing. Like, regardless of how much you might know, like, I'm pretty sure, like, that's not allowed. Like, you're not allowed to give out actual, like, this is exactly eat this many grams of XYZ thing. Like, unless you're a dietitian, I think is the only way you're allowed to do that. So it's like,
I actually know the answer to that question.
Oh,
if
okay.
You want,
So,
like, the details. So it depends by state in the US.
Okay.
I'm not sure about other countries. So like in Arizona and in Hawaii, it's perfectly legal for someone like me who's not a registered dietitian to give out meal plans. Like it is legal. So it really depends on the state that you're in. They have different limitations as to what credentials you have to have in order to give out whatever advice that you're giving on a one-on-one basis. Like I know somebody who is studying nutrition right now in college, and in her state, group coaching is legal, but one-on-one coaching is not legal. And so it like totally depends. But it's like with the internet now, how do you regulate that? Like if, you know, I could like make a YouTube video about exactly what you should eat every day, and maybe it's legal for me because I'm in this state, but it would be legal. Like it doesn't matter what state I uploaded the video in. It's just like, so that's kind of where it's at. If anybody is curious about that, there's a website that will show, it's like a map that says like these states require so-and-so credentials or whatever.
This is why I, like in a lot of my videos, I do my best to be like, it's all about knowledge. Like knowledge is power. Figure this stuff out for yourself. And like, I truly believe that the basics of nutrition, especially if you're just trying to lose weight, right, in a sustainable way, like figuring out how to do that, it seems daunting because there's so much crap out there, but it really, like you spend a week really delving into stuff and you will have a pretty solid understanding, I believe. And like, I'm someone that reading and learning have always been difficult for me. Like I was in special ed growing up. Like it's not, we are the polar opposites on when it comes to learning about stuff. I'm like, oh, I have to learn about something. Oh God, you know? But like, that's why I say, I don't mean it in a condescending way, but like, if I can learn this, I really think anyone can. Like truly. And so that's why in my videos, I tried my best to not say this is what you should do, but I will say, like with that video we were talking about earlier, this is wrong. I'll say that at least, you know? And because I think it's like knowledge is 100% the most valuable tool if you're trying anything in fitness, lose weight, gain weight, muscle, endurance, whatever it is, knowledge is 100% like the thing that you should be seeking before anything else, I think.
And what I would add, because I agree with that, but what I would add, and I think it might be equally important in my opinion, is self-awareness. Like, should like just understand like how all that knowledge like fits into your life. Because it's like, I just made my video of like, should you count calories? And I made that because I want people to like realize that just because somebody like me says something will cause weight loss and it's like what I use for all my clients, it doesn't mean that every single person on the planet should do it. Like, and not every content creator on YouTube or on the internet is creating content that's meant for every single person. And it, unfortunately, like a lot of influencers and content creators with huge audiences, like a lot of them don't really understand the impact that they have when they just mention something casually of like, oh, I'm tracking calories. They don't understand how many people are going to like take that and run with it without actually think. So it is the consumer's responsibility. Like we want responsible, informed consumers. So if anyone who's watching takes anything away from that, I would just like really take a step back and look at everything you see on the internet with the lens of like, how does this make sense for me? And skepticism.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I think, learning, but then also learning how to apply that to what you need specifically. Like that combo is like, you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So last thing, if where can people find you if they want to watch your videos, watch you on TikTok, which I know you're taking a break from, or on Instagram, where would they go? Yeah,
I am on. I really don't understand Twitter, but like I'm on there. It doesn't make sense to me. I am on YouTube and on Instagram. So YouTube is probably where I'm most consistent, and you're getting the most information, like free information. Instagram is more like I show up as me and I'm not constantly throwing information in your face. So if you want a more personal connection with me, Instagram is where it's at. And I am coming up with a bunch of new things. Like as a coach, I do one-on-one consultations, which are super affordable price. I just am relaunching my one-on-one coaching right now. And I'm planning to come out with like some courses pretty soon. So I have a lot of like stuff that's coming. But yeah, I would love if it, like, let me know. Like I came over from the stream, just like hit me up.
Sweet. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for doing this.